playing once again. I feel like I've said it a million times, but it's been so awesome to not only like have the privilege of creating this and then putting it together and then being able to edit a lot of it. So super cool that that's been able to, you know, finally come together. And then what's, like I said the other day in the chat, like what's even cooler is seeing like an actual community being built, which was, it's just awesome. Like seeing people, like being able to see that people have become genuine friends from the game is just so cool. And it touches my heart genuinely. Like it just feels awesome. Like it just feels really cool. I know it wasn't like the most like on time, and it wasn't, you know, we made mistakes on the day. I made hosting mistakes. We ran behind. There was challenge issues. We lost a bit of footage, blah, blah, blah. But I think overall for a first season in a 1-day game, super proud of everyone, like super proud of the crew, super proud of the cast, super proud of myself for like actually being able to pull this off. So just want to say that it's awesome. I don't know if Byron is here.
He was.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
He was gonna join, but anyway. And yeah, like the amount of work that he did behind the scenes. I know he's a little quiet in the chat, which is unlike Byron. I think he's just super busy. He's not a very quiet person. But yeah, he and I know that season 2 is gonna be even better. I don't know about the cast though. It's gonna be hard to top the cast, but we've been doing some solid work recently. Danny, Michelle, Joseph, Ethan, Byron, and myself on nailing a season 2 cast. So looking forward to that. I think Byron's here now. Byron, did you want to say anything? Byron.
So I was here, and then
Here
I
he
wasn't.
is.
Now I'm back. I missed most of your speech, thank God. But I'm sure I'm reiterating everything Eli said. That it was a great season, and love the community that's being built, and onwards to season 2.
Love it.
Yep.
Yeah, Byron, feel free to ask questions as well, because I don't know. I've been watching a lot of the podcasts. I think I've watched all of them, but I know you probably may not have. So
Definitely haven't.
Yeah, that's fine. But I will just throw questions out there. I said to Mars if he wants to chuck some questions in the mix too. And of course, yeah, Byron, feel free to just ask anything. But yeah, I wanted to actually throw it over to our very awesome winner, Sam. Firstly, congrats, buddy. Finally, we put it out there on the screen. I do want to say something, and it's super interesting. And I guess I know you'll do sort of a deep dive on the pod that's coming, but I kind of want to get your idea and your thoughts, because when I was out there hosting, I just kept watching this Sam guy, and he'd rock up to tribal, and I'd just be like, he's super good. Like, he's clearly very social, but no one wants to touch him. And like, no one is voting him. No one is putting his name out there. And every tribal, like, and this was even from pre-merge, I was just like, oh, Sam's still here. Oh, we hit the merge. Sam's still here. And we're going later and later into the game. And I'm like, this dude's like, he could possibly take it out. And I just felt like you had this like threat level that, I don't know, no one really realized. And it was only until watching the footage back that Ethan kind of realized, but no one else sort of realized that. Did you feel that out there, or did you kind of have like a little bit more like, oh, I'm a bit of a threat? Like, what was your sort of thoughts, if you had any, apart from the fact that it was going absolutely crazy?
Yeah, well, it was just like trying to survive the next little thing that happened. Who knows what twist was going to pop up or whatever. But like, I definitely went into the game and my strategy was going to be, yeah, personally, it was just like less about finding things and more about like finding the people that I was going to work with. Like, that's what I wanted to focus in on the most. And I spent like the majority of my time doing that. Like, I didn't want to be by myself ever. I wanted to be around people and chat with them about not only the game, but just about life, and see where they sat and see what they thought. And I mean, I do that in my regular life anyway. And so I thought, let's lean into that. And I think that's sort of how I made it through the game. That's how I made it through each step, is that I don't think that people thought to take me out because I was with them, like I was with them, and we formed something together, and it wasn't just me by myself, but there was stuff that we were doing together. And so I think that's a strength of mine in life. And so I was like, let's try and utilize that in the game. And I definitely benefited from, I definitely was on the good side of the swap. And I was definitely benefited from some things that happened in the game that were out of my control. So there's like no doubting that. But yeah, I feel like I just tried to place myself with people as much as possible, and even adapt to it as much as possible. Like when Jazz came back into the game, I wanted to utilize the connection that we felt from the very start of the day. And I was like, I don't know if she's going to give me a shot. I don't know if she's going to she might think that I'm crazy because we planned to vote her out, but I thought I'd try. And yeah, we made it to the end together, and also to make it to the end with Michelle. Like we've been through the whole game together, like every little part we were with each other, and that was important to me. So yeah.
Michelle, I don't know if you've answered this already, but would you have voted Sam in any situation? Like,
no, because I'm loyal and I tend to not backstab my number 1 or 2. Look, in the past, I've backstabbed my 4th, which was heartbreaking, but never my 1st or 2nd, ever. Like I've gone to the end in an online game with my number 1, and I just thought we can fight it out in the end and see who wins, because I don't want to do that. I'm not that kind of a ruthless player. I'm a player that wants to get to the end, and I'm competitive, but I'm not like that. I'm not saying that that's a good thing and the other way is a bad thing. It's just, that's just me. Same for Danny. If I would have gone to the end with Danny and Sam, I'd be like, Jesus, uphill battle trying to win here. But I would have gone all 3 if we could have,
So if it was a final 2, was it Sam or Danny going?
See, that's hard. That's very hard.
Answer the question.
You have to be there. You have to be in the game. But you know what? If it was Sam and Danny, I would have voted out Sam in that respect. Yes, because Danny was more my 1. Danny was my 2. I mean, Danny was my 1. Sam was my 2. And Katie, not Katie. Luke was never really my 4. Christy was my 4. Yeah.
Danny, do you think who do you think wins in a final 2 of you and Michelle? I mean, obviously you don't have that whole game experience, but
Danny.
I do.
She showed more ruthlessness maybe and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I win too. Sorry, Michelle.
No, that's fine. I agree.
I wanna throw it to Merlene. Hello, John, by the way. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Good, mate. Good. I wanna throw it to Merlene on that twist, because I think you and Jazz, like, I was very, very nervous, and Byron can sorry, you're right, Chrissy. Thank you for I haven't eaten dinner, I'm sorry. So with with that twist, Byron can back me up here. I was very, very hesitant to have a twist like that. Like, I just thought this is way too controversial. Like, I was very hesitant, and I will talk about that Tide Destinies twist as well. But you two handled it like so graciously, and like, to be honest, I think I would have been really salty, because like, you just have limited control. So I guess, I don't know if Byron wants to input more onto that twist, because he definitely came up with the goods on this one. And I was like, no, we can't do that. Like, someone's going to be really mad at us. But you guys handled it so well. Like, I want to know, like, why, I don't know, like you were just so okay with that. Like, was there any part of you that was like, gee, this is quite unfair? Like, I get no say in what the what the other tribe says. Like, I'm just getting voted off, you know?
Well, reflecting on it afterwards, there were actually a few options that we had we have had the time to actually think through. I think it was the combination of that twist and the time pressure that meant that we couldn't play around it. Because afterwards we've talked it through and there could have been ways to save either myself and Jazz or just Jazz at least. So I think Jazz needs to be a bit more pissed off than what I am because she just, you know, she's the one with the second most amount of votes, which I've sort of never really liked in Survivor, getting voted out with the second lot. So, and look, everything was happening so quickly that even when I was copying votes beforehand, we'd come back from tribal and I didn't give a shit who voted for me. I was just onwards and upwards to the next one. So I don't really hold any grudges. And look, it made for a good show. So I'm all good. I'm all good with that. I don't know what Jazz thinks.
I'm chilled all the time. I'm sweet.
Yeah, Jazz, you handled it very well as well. Like, especially watching back the footage or like exit confessional, like you just took it on the chin, and I was like, super, like, because yeah, like not gonna lie, I was very nervous about this twist because you know people can react in different situations about twists, and I know it is just a game, but you know I would have been like, gee, that's a tough one.
I think
Byron,
it was tough, in my opinion, that it was both of us from the same tribe.
yeah,
That was probably the only thing that was annoying about the whole thing. If it was one from each, I probably wouldn't, or not that I cared that much, but like I would have cared less if it was one of each. But being both of us from the same tribe, that's what hurt that little bit.
And it was amazing because we were down. Blues were down 5 and they were 7. And I'm thinking, well, I was counting Leah and Joseph as the 7. And I'm thinking, at the end, how did we pull that off? How did that work? We should have all been gone, the Blues, from then on. And it didn't happen.
Bloody Shane Payne's idol.
Well, that's true. But also we need to thank Ethan a little bit as well for saving Maddie at that point. Like that was obviously massive at that time, not only to solidify his relationship with like between the two of them, but it helped us out so much. Like it really did.
Yeah, we lost a vote in that moment. And so like any alternate plan that we may have worked on with our relationships with the other side and whatnot, or what plans we may have changed to, kind of went out the window because Ethan didn't tell us, Matt didn't tell us like that he was going to play it, even though he kind of knew. So when it's so fast paced and all of a sudden you're like, oh, now bloody this bloke's out of the mix. Like, what are the numbers again?
Yeah. So Ethan really screwed up our numbers big time.
Byron, you had a plan which I pushed back on about this twist. Do you remember what that was?
You'll have to remind me.
I think you wanted to announce the twist at Tribal Council.
Yeah, I did want to do that. And you talked me out of it. And I think that was for the best. Because sometimes I'm too savage for my own liking. And yeah, I think the way we did it was actually perfect to kind of gave that middle ground where they had time, but the crux of the twist wasn't taken away.
Yeah. Well, in terms of twists, obviously we had the Tide Destiny one as well. I guess I want to know from Danny and Christy, like, how far do you guys think you would have made it in the game if it wasn't for that twist? You survived this vote. How deep do you go? Because, like, obviously, like, I've always been a fan of Christy. Dad and I always have. And I think with like just watching the footage back as well, and just watching like how Christy just like I'm sitting there editing it and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm getting influenced here and I'm not even playing, like she is that good. So like, yeah. And then both of you, and then watching Danny like just massively strong social game, got the target off her back after that first vote. So I'm curious to know how like you personally think you both would have done and how far you would have gone.
You go, Chris. You go, Chris.
Oh, I was going to get you to go.
I think I make final tribal council.
It's hard to hear you, Danny.
Hold on. I think I make final tribal council.
I'd agree with that. For Danny, for sure. It was quite amazing sitting on the jury, and Danny and I were just like, this is what the plan was. Like, this is the plan just happening. Like, there were little bumps and turns and things like that, but ultimately we were like, that the trajectory of what the five had planned pretty closely happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think about yourself, Christy? Like, how deep?
Oh, I knew that no one was taking me to the end. Like, I wasn't overly aware that Joseph was keen. I was definitely working on it with Matt and Ethan. Ethan was kind of dabbling with it because he thought, you know, he's loud and he kind of wants to like take over and beat the best and all of that sort of thing. I would have fought my way, but I also would have felt terrible. Like I wanted to make a competition and make people earn it, but for me, the goal wasn't making it to the end. I am so happy that I got to see somebody else's dream come true. However, if I was sitting there, I wouldn't have just handed it to them, because it was, for me, it was all about giving the experience to you guys. So whatever I could do to do that was my goal. So I think I did the best.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we all want to see you play like actual Survivor again. But in terms of the short term, like, would you play another like small game? Because you've played two now, correct? You played one, was it in New Zealand?
I didn't play in New Zealand. I assisted. So I did like the games and the interviews and things like that. But it wasn't filmed for YouTube or anything like that. It was more to put on Instagram and for fun. But that was still awesome. I loved doing that. I had an absolute blast being on the other side and executing my skills from being a player and then knowing what I was asked and what I should ask. I love playing the game. I love playing it in the rawest form, which is why I really loved Sydney Survivor, because there was no bullshit. I wasn't getting pulled away for an hour for an interview. It was just, here's the game, go out and play, and we happen to have cameras there. And that's what I absolutely love. So I would love to play again. But I also don't want to just like take over and play every single game. Like, if there was more that were not filmed, I would like put my hand up every time.
Yeah, for sure. I think they do some trials around places, but I don't know how that works. So I guess I'll throw it back to the merge crew that are here. And I guess it's not relevant for Shane, because I know that Shane would just want to take Christy out at any opportunity. But how far, Sam, Michelle, Jazz, like how far were you guys willing to let Christy go? Like until you were like, all right, I think it's time we cut her.
Well, look, I think it would be an absolute awfully awful discussion between us if us five got to the end and we were the final five. I'm pretty sure, Christy, you'd be going as the fifth place goddess, as they call it, because I don't think we can allow you get to the end, because you're going to win. I don't care if people think they can win against you, because seriously, you managed to save yourself through 3 votes on the other tribe. You can talk. And I knew you'd be okay on the other tribe. I knew they'd all go before you. So you would win. I'm sorry. I've heard your final tribal council speech. Just winning.
Yeah. And look, for me, it's the same. And Christy and I have spoken about this, and also like obviously in my final tribal council question, I did allude to the fact that Christy was always fifth in my view on the group, just because when I saw her, I was like fangirling, right? Like in the morning, but I was also like, we've got to watch out here. This changes things completely. Like this is a whole different game now that we've got a winner playing with us, right? And so I wanted to be with Christy for as long as would be helpful. And she would be very helpful in terms of her threat level and her ability to chat with everyone. And so when she was at Bullabara and she made it to the last 3, I was like, what has she had to do? Like, what is she saying to these people to make them keep her around? So then when she was like potentially coming back in, I was like, actually, I've got to really think about this and work out if she's actually with us or if she's actually with them. So I was really scared because yeah, that was going to be tricky to handle.
Keep in mind as well, when Merlene and I got voted out, you guys technically had the opportunity to get rid of Christy then. Like there was no reason for you guys to hold on to her if you thought that threat level was there.
But I wanted to keep her. I wanted to keep her. I know people think we're absolutely crazy, but I wanted to keep her. I didn't want her out early. Just because I wanted to play with Christy. I didn't want her gone. Yeah.
No, I thought it was because I was playing well.
Well, yes,
you were.
That too.
And it was scary at how well you were playing. So, and watching it back, I'm like, oh dang, like that was dangerous. Oh,
Sam, you're going to have the same problem if you ever play now. People are going to be like, I know them, I know how they play, I know what they do. And then automatically, it doesn't matter if you're in with absolutely everybody, you will always be at the top of the list and there is no downtime. Absolutely no downtime. I was so exhausted because I literally knew that if I was not hustling every second, that the winner, let's get her, would come back in. So
you literally future Sam problems. But in terms of you, Christy, like that was how you handled coming into the game was just like masterful. Like I can't even describe to you. Like people talk about it now with me. I'm like, what was that like? And I was like, she did so well. Like the way that she ingratiated herself into the whole group to make her just seem part of the group and like, guys, I'm here. It's going to be great. You just did so well. It was actually phenomenal.
Oh, thanks, Sammy. I tell you who did great in integrating herself? Jazz.
Yes.
Watching you come back,
yes,
and then the evolution of the game, because I was like, I have no idea. Like, I would need to see this unfold. It was awesome to see.
Sam can vouch for me here. We had a lot more conversations than what was showed.
And I was gonna ask you, Jazz, later, but I may as well ask you now. But I guess like you had the foundations of that in your pre-merge, and you could see that you were a player, right? And you came back into that game, and then that whole thing just got you to the end game. But I do want to know, why Sam instead of the boys? Like, what made you make that decision?
At the end of the day, I was by myself, and Sam had his group, like an actual set group, and it was Ethan and Matt by themselves. Like, but they were a pair that they weren't going to be split up. So I knew I was always going to be their third. Whereas with Sam, that was a new relationship, so I could try and build on that and get closer in with them. So I actually had another person. Of course, Merlene was previously my person. So because I had no one, I had a really good connection with Sam, it was much easier for me to sort of start afresh, essentially, because I knew I'd never be able to get between the boys.
Yeah, there was so many things, I think, to it. Keep in mind, like, I just lost 2 of my alliance members in Christy and Danny, right? Like, and I was like, crap, Blue are low on numbers now. Like, this could be really, really bad. And so I was like, okay, I need to get Jazz. Like, I need to get in with Jazz like straight away. Like this, it not only was like a survival thing for me, it was like, I spoke to Jazz earlier. I think she'll be like, I think we've got something that we could build upon. And yeah, I think the conversations we had just early on in that merge time were pivotal in what happened between her and I through the game.
I'm gonna throw it to some of the others now. Let's talk about that blind side on Amanda, Leah, because and I wish there was more that could like show that was just your move. Like I tried and I think the edit did show that, but I just wish there was more that I could just drill. But like what how did you just pull that off that quickly? Like it honestly just went from like 1 to 100 and it was just insane. You're on mute.
Start talking now. Okay. I just wasn't sure if you're gonna keep going. Yeah, I think that with the scramble that we were in, like beforehand, I think just someone, which in this circumstance ended up being me, kind of just coming along and being like, okay, why don't we just take a second and we look at the person that's like pointing us all around and telling us what to do? Why don't we just pop it on that and make it easy? Like having votes split between 3 people at the first tribal council is ridiculous. It was never gonna go to plan. So I think it just sort of hit me where I was like, you know what? No, Shane has an advantage, Ethan has an advantage, and we haven't seen them yet. We don't know what they are. We don't know what chaos they can make. Why don't we just like keep them around? So I'm thinking like, how can we do this? And then, yeah, just managed to grab Shane and then Joseph, Merlene, and just sort of happened. And I think it was honestly for the best, because then we wouldn't have got to see Shane play his legacy advantage. We wouldn't have got to see Ethan save Matt. Like, you know, it really added to the game. I'll say that.
It definitely did. It changed, and I honestly changed the season. It was awesome. Definitely my favorite blindside, but we'll get to that award. But speaking of which, Shane, were you ever playing that like an idol there? You didn't have an idol at that point, did you? You just had the legacy.
No, I had the legacy, so I couldn't do anything. At that point. And I was obviously the whole day I was unprepared because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But I just remember like when everyone was chatting, I got stuck on the camera on confessional, and they just kept asking questions and just kept going and going. And then I walked back, and everyone's like, "Oh, what were you doing talking so long?" I'm like, "I don't know." She just kept talking to me. And so I pretty much missed, I think, just about everything. But yeah, Amanda come up and got like right in my face really quickly, which is, it wasn't until, literally walking up the steps when Leah goes, "Amanda," she's telling everyone what to do. I'm like, "Sounds good to me." And I'll be honest, at that point, I sort of know everyone's name. So Leah told me a name. So I'm like, I can put a name on a piece of paper.
Yeah, you said you called them mate the day before. Obviously, you were very late inclusion for kind of unfortunate circumstances, really. Yeah. But you came in. I was like, yeah, look, this guy's in the mountains. He was an interesting character. This guy though knows nothing about Survivor. But I'm like, you know what? That could be great casting. Let's give him a call. Let's just see how he goes. Now, I didn't know at this point that you'd watched literally nothing. I thought you'd watched here and there, but you just didn't know the characters. Like, did you know, what were you thinking when you were in that egg hunt, when you found the legacy advantage? What were you thinking when you found the idol? Like, did you kind of get that aspect of the game? Because obviously
So like, I understand the concept of it all. Like, and I had a few chats with people, and the intent was, if I had have originally gotten on, I would have sat and like watched some seasons, or watched stuff. I actually would have researched it, but you literally hit me up like 2:30 the day before, and I was still at work, and I'm making phone calls to reschedule my clients that were meant to be on that Saturday to later in the week. And I think one of my clients chose my number. Like, we all had to pick the number. I'm like, pick a number for me. So
nice.
And then so it was, I would have liked to have had the opportunity to prepare, But at the same time, when you hit me up at that point, I'm like, I could cram something at this point, but fuck it. I know nothing at this point, so let's just keep it that way.
Do you think you would have actually played worse if you might have watched a few seasons? Or like you could have gone earlier because you knew what you were doing and therefore like
No, look, I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't have changed too much, I don't think. I guess the only other thing that I probably would have done was maybe spoken to other people about what I had, like what advantages I had. But that being said, I also had to wing that at the time. Like when I found the second idol after I swapped, like I laughed watching back the video, seeing my face, and I wish you could have I wish good camera work could have zoomed right in, because I remember grabbing it and I'm just like, oh. And then just because I just expected everyone to be looking behind me because everyone was there looking, and turned out nobody saw at all.
Yeah.
But I think that worked out well that I did tell everyone.
Do you still have that idol at home that was in your pocket?
Yeah. Ari used to wear it to school all the time, and
I love
that.
Yeah.
I actually think you did a really good job. Like,
yeah, for sure.
My God, I would have no idea. Like, I've watched the show for so long, and even when I got out there, like on Australian Survivor, I was like, I have no idea, and everything I thought I knew came crashing down. So the fact that you were like on the fly doing all these things was blowing my mind. Like, and in like watching it back, I'm like, what the hell? This is insane.
I think in general, like I hear you guys talk about, who threats were and keeping them around for a certain amount of time and then getting rid of them. Like most of my votes were people that I considered threats, like you, Chris. And I think I voted Merle. I think I voted you at one point. There's only a couple times I think like I voted for you, Leah, because that's what was looking like. Like I think I remember at the time everyone was saying it was going to happen, so I figured it was. I put the vote on you because it wasn't going to make a difference. And it was just I just looked at always trying to get out threats, and I think when I eventually got out, like I had no idea that Sam, Luke, and the other boys were creating a bit of alliance there. Like I had no idea, so I just looked at Luke and I tried to talk Ethan and Matt into voting out Luke because he just kept winning shit. I kept finding shit, but he just kept winning shit. So that was I feel like I could have done that conversation better to them, but then at that point, at the same time, I had no idea that you guys were all kind of banding up. So I think even if I had have like done a good little selling speech, it would have helped. I think my only regret, just simply for good TV for everyone, was when I got out, not playing my idol and voting for Ethan just to end that little battle. Like just that was I remember at the night just thinking, okay, I wasn't in enough with people, so I couldn't see myself getting through to final three, but just because of the battle that would have been happening, just regretted not finishing that off.
And to be fair, like in hindsight, I don't think it's necessarily the wrong move not playing your idol there. Like obviously it is because you got voted out, but not playing for $1 million, right? Not playing for $500,000. It's a one day game. You're just having fun, right? Like I don't hate it, to be honest. Like sure, it would have been fun if you did play, you stayed in the game, would have shocked everyone. But I mean, since hearing your perspective after the game about how like you realized that you weren't getting further, then
I really don't think if I had to use it there, I reckon I probably would have gotten out the next one or two. But I mean, the rest of you guys can answer that was still in. But I just never felt, and even how that last bit went, because was it Joseph? What happened? Joseph got voted out, and then we had like a really short time to talk. And Michelle, Sam, like I don't even know where you guys went. You just disappeared, and then I kind of got left there with Ethan and Matt. So I thought I'll just try and no one else is here. I'll just try and swing them around, and then then we. And then was it Joseph got voted out? Oh, I can't remember now. And then basically, yeah, we did the challenge, and then we didn't get to go away and talk to each other. So we're all just sitting there. So I felt like, well, yeah, I lost any opportunity to really talk to you guys to try and get me back in. So I think that might. I think that might have been different if we all had the option to go away and talk again. But I think I got enough luck through the game to then get bad luck then.
Is John here? John, are you here?
Yeah, I'm
Hello.
here. Yeah, I was just taking off mute for a while.
No, you're fine. I just want to throw a question to you because I haven't spoke to you yet. What was your thinking behind giving the extra vote to Shane?
I guess at that time, because even though I was on the edge, I still was given an opportunity to get back in the game. I think during that time, I think it was Jazz or Merlene, can't really remember who now, but somebody did come to me and then said, "Oh, these are the people we're trying to target." And then I think they told me people who in the majority was Christy, and then I can't remember who else. But because Shane was the main target, I thought, oh, you know what? Well, I might as well give it to him to help him because he's in the minority. And because if I do get back in the game, maybe he can be someone I can go to, especially since he's probably got no one. Because, there's no point giving it to someone who's in the majority, not just because you make them more powerful, but if they didn't want to work with me earlier on, you might as well look for new people. But the thing I found hilarious was that Shane was probably the most powerful one without thinking, without realizing, because he had more advantages than everybody else. And that was the funny thing.
Yeah, that was just crazy that it ended up like this dude already had a legacy, that he had 2 idols, played 1 idol, and then gets himself an extra vote. If you did get back into the game, John, who do you think you would have played with? You probably would have kind of started the anti-Luke rally, do you think, maybe?
I don't know. I never got to really think about that. I was just thinking of trying to get back from the edge, but obviously that was just, look, maybe I would have just said there's people who have been in the majority for a while, and then stuff like that. I don't think I would have gone nuts right away. I would have tried to give myself time to fit in, adapt with some people if I was the one that came back from the edge. But I think at the same time, I was just, all I knew from all I heard from gathering from every person who was coming into the edge, they just said Shane was always the target. So I'm like, well, I should have, I might as well help Shane. There's no, it would be silly for me not to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I reckon that would have been so cool.
I think
if John had gotten back in.
Say again, Shane?
If you had gotten back in, I remember when you were lining up doing the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the look you gave me, which made me suspect that it was you that gave me the challenge, or I don't know, you might have liked me, had a thing for me. I don't know.
I was kind of giving you the look, just kind of to
give me the Google eyes. But no, I reckon that would be, if you had gotten back in, I feel like at the time, you would have had a lot more strategy in knowing what to do compared with my winging it, not really knowing. I think it would have been really interesting how that would have played out.
Yeah. Well, here's the funny thing, Shane. They didn't get to show this in the edit. However, when I secretly found the advantage, I didn't tell anyone about it. I kind of played dumb. I decided to be a bit sneaky about it. But at the same time, and then I just kind of And I kind of like let people like Lizzie and TK, who I was a little bit close with, and Amanda out there. Like I did promise Amanda, saying, "Hey, I promise. I think they made a deal. Maybe they find something, they'll let me know, and then we'll try to get back in the game together and look out for each other." But I was only thinking of myself back then, and the reason why I didn't want to share it with anyone that I was giving it to you, because if I went and shared with everyone and said, "Who should I play this for?" they might ask me to play it for someone else. And then if I did get back from the edge and got to the final three, people would say, "No, that wasn't John's move, that was our move because we put that in his head." So at least like me, with me, I was trying to make that my move. And also if I helped you and if I told everyone I wanted to give it to you, I think people would have tried and probably convinced me not to. So I wanted to try to do something on my own at that moment. So yeah, I was giving it to you because you're on the outs. I mean, it would be pretty silly for me to give it to someone else who's at the top when they've got enough power.
Leah, you mentioned that you would have joined the anti-Luke bandwagon there. I find that comment interesting because I do feel like even though Luke wasn't gonna like give you a bone, I do feel like out of anyone on that swapped Katuma tribe, he may have been the most likely. Like, am I like, so why Luke specifically? Like,
I would have, well, I actually thought Luke would have swung if I had gone one more. Like he would have been convinced. No, but had I not been and John came back and John was like, "Let's get Luke," I reckon I would have came in with John and tried to rally like Shane and Joseph and just see what we could have done. Just I know what Luke's like as a player. From experience, like every game I've ever played has been with Luke. So
true. Oh yeah. So OSM season 2, OSM season 5. Yeah, and yeah, wow.
Yeah, so Luke was a detriment to all of my games. So, like if we're ever again a fourth time, he's dead. He's so sweet though.
Merlene, did you think about your long game? Because I feel like you had the foundations of a really solid alliance with Matt, Ethan, and Jazz, and then obviously Christy coming on board. Now, hypothetically, you don't lose those challenges. All of you guys make the merge. Where do you see your game going from there? Do you stick with those boys, like, or was it always a plan to just kind of cut the head off at some point?
I didn't want to just go through with that 4. I thought that was going to be a little bit boring. I wanted to be a bit spicy, so I don't think that 4 would have lasted all that long. I probably would have stayed with Jazz. But right from the beginning of the game, I was after Ethan. So I would have probably targeted Ethan, and Jazz and I were quite happy. I could see that Matt and Ethan came as a pair anyway. So we were... The time that we both got voted out, that was when we were going to make our move against the boys anyway. And I purely decided that based on the fact that I didn't want to sail through the whole game as that 4 and just, take everybody out. To me, that was just a little bit boring. So no, I didn't really think too much long game. I wanted to just get in there and wreak havoc and have a bit of fun. Yeah.
Before I ask any other questions, I might I might actually announce some of the awards. And then obviously throw it to Ian, Marcus, Byron, Mars, Helen. If any of you guys have any questions and you want to ask them, feel free. I will announce some of these awards first though. So I might start with best episode. So in third place we had a tie. Now there was 80 respondents, which I was super happy with. That's pretty good. Like I thought maybe it would just be like the cast and maybe we'd get like 30 or 40. So 80 responses in what, like a week. That's pretty good. Happy with that. But yeah. So the best episode, there was a tie for third place between episode 2, which I remember is the Leah's Blindside episode.
Sorry, is it best episode or episode title?
It was best episode.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so I'll go down to that one now. So third was episode 2, which was finally getting some action where Amanda was voted out. And that tied with episode 5, which was They're Proving to Be Scum, which was the double boot twist where Merlene and Jazz were voted out. Second place was the finale, so episode 10. And first place, which may not be a surprise, was that merge episode with 42.5% of the vote, Disaster City, where Danny and Christy were robbed out of the game, as some would say.
Mostly Danny.
So another one. This was a good one actually. Most memorable reaction. So this was a very spread out vote, but third place was Ethan finding the nullifier.
Oh.
Second place was Ethan playing the nullifier. And then first place was, and it's a shame that he is not here, it was Matt's reaction to Christy showing up on the day. So, yeah.
Yay, Maddie P! Gasps for Maddie P!
Best challenge was again split. Third place was the egg hunt at the start of the game. Honestly, the challenges are pretty lame. I will say that, but you know, TK's doing a great job for season 2, so keen for that. But yeah, third place egg hunt. Second place was a tie between the gross eating challenge and the Vegemite scroll challenge. And the first place for that one was the sandbags endurance challenge, which to be honest is a pretty standard challenge. But to be honest, it looked quite cool. I think the editing was really cool in that as well, with drone shots and showing everyone. So
it's also just like, you know, your iconic sort of survival, like endurance, like who wants it, who can do it, who can push it. It summarizes so many aspects of the game.
Well, just before I read the next question, Merlene, do you think it's fair? Like, this was a question that kind of came up when we planned this, is like, well, should the weight be even based on your weight, based on gender? Like, should it be based on factors? Because I know that I think the next, like an upcoming season of Melbourne Survivor, I'm pretty sure there was a challenge where they based it on the weight. And I know a couple of these LRGs have done that. Like, do you think that would have been maybe a fairer way to do it? Or do you think it was actually kind of cool just to see people just duke it out holding like 10 kilos?
I think it was cool. Yeah, so I think having to go through everybody's weights and everything for a one-day LRG game is probably a bit much. So I was kind of happy for everyone to have the same weight. I didn't mind it at all. It's all.
Yeah, that's the thing. That was in my head. I was like,
listen, you're asking. No. Eli, you're asking Merlene here, who is a superwoman who does mega marathons, not just normal marathons, but mega marathons. Of course, she's going to want the challenge. But no, I'd like things to be even.
I'd like a lighter sandbag, please.
Well, poor Leah.
Poor Leah.
This small little, like, 5'5".
Hey, she's feisty.
5'5" is so generous.
What are you?
I would just like to be sandbagged to not fall apart. That's
true.
That's true. So if everything could have stayed together, I probably would have. Oh, who knows? I like to tell Ethan that I would have beaten him. I don't think he likes to hear that, but anyway.
You could have done it in a way, whether it just be random or some other method where like the weights are different. So it could just be like randomly, like someone might get a 10 kilo or someone might luckily get a 5 kilo. Yeah, whether it be random or some other challenge that not knowing what the outcome is. And if you win that, you get a lighter one.
No, because we really do want the iconic Survivor stuff as who wants it the most. And if you're actually got double the amount of somebody else, then it doesn't matter how much you want it. You're not going to beat someone who's got half the amount of weight. So people who are fans of Survivor and want to play these games want that experience of those iconic Survivor challenges, and they're not going to do that. They're not going to be unfair right from the beginning. So
the next one is most unlucky. So the person that actually won this got 55% of the vote, so a massive portion. Third place was Leah for being voted out 1 vote prior to merge, and we all know how impressive Leah's game was pre-merge. So I think that's a fair assessment. And it would have been exciting to see how she would have gone in the merge. Second place was Merlene, for obviously that's booted in a twist where it's basically beyond her control. But first place was 55%, and I think Danny knows that it's Danny, so it is Danny. Being tied to Christy on that twist. I mean, Danny, do you think there's actually anything you could have done? Like, I just feel like it was impossible.
I drew that rock and I was like, I'm fucked here. I knew. So no, yeah. Merlene came close, but that award was all mine.
Imagine if you had picked up the
Oh,
advantage
sure, Shane.
and
If I had that thing, bloody hell. If I had that, well, if I had that, then Michelle would have been steered out.
Yeah, I would have.
Well, Jazz is saying no. She's like, no, I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, Michelle and Jazz would have been steered out. Yeah. And then they would have been most unlucky.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point, because what if we did, like, what if there was a merge vote? Like, it's just a merge boot at the merge before this twist. Who, like, I'm actually curious to know, like, who would have gone?
Who has immunity?
Yeah.
Well, let's say that Luke wins immunity because it's Luke and he won immunity that time. I bled controversial circumstances. Let's say Luke. You think Ethan?
Yeah, well, Matt's not playing his idol for Ethan at that point because they're not tied together.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think Ethan's gone.
Yeah.
And that's super interesting because that changes like everything. And Danny, you've mentioned before that you probably would have just begonged the Reds. Is that true?
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. I know it's boring, but I was in power and I wasn't going to give that up for shit.
That's all right. It's fair. It's fair. Do any of you other guys have questions before I kind of move on?
You mean Mars and Helen?
Yeah, Mars, Helen, Ian, Byron, Marcus. Any of you guys want to jump in with a question?
Yeah, I've got a question. Did you guys expect a lot more physical challenges? Because I know there's a lot of like puzzles and things. Did you expect more like physical stuff, and like did you train for that stuff?
I expected a few more physical things because some of the other LRGs do have more physical challenges. So when they had red light, green light, I was actually excited to do something physical, but I was actually happy there were quite a few puzzles.
A blit child puzzles.
Yeah, well,
I'll ask your question, Marcus. But just quickly, while we're on that, the Challenge Beast Award, third place did go to you, Michelle.
Really?
Yeah. Second place, Merlene. And who won it, guys? Luke won.
Luke?
80%, I think he got of the vote. So yeah, Luke got the Challenge Beast of the season. I don't think anyone's surprised. I probably could have picked that pre-season, to be honest. Yeah, so that's that one. Yeah, so Marcus wants to know, maybe we can go around, but what's everyone's biggest takeaway from the experience? Maybe just quickly, sort of.
Relationships, fun. That's
unexpected friendship.
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest thing, I think. Yeah, you go, Merlene, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, just meeting the people and having a shared experience. And everyone's so diverse in what we do for a living, our ages, everything, and yet we've got this common experience, and we all just seem to really gel. It's been just so lovely. And we can laugh about trying to vote each other out, and but we just love each other as well. So it's been really amazing.
So cool. Yeah, that's definitely the biggest takeaway. I mean, for me, being in the position of like hosting Brisbane Survivor as well, I never actually thought like I'd get a chance to like play. I thought it'd just always be like hosting. So actually to be able to do it and to have that experience of like from a cast member's like perspective was like so cool. Unique, and yeah, will help so much, I think, with Brisbane in the future. So I'm excited about that.
Can I come on Brisbane?
Can you just run a season for Sydney, but in Brisbane?
Fun. That'll be unique. Never been done.
My biggest takeaway from the experience, obviously meeting a bunch of awesome Survivor fans, because I thought I was like this weird Survivor person my whole life until I went on the show, and even then I still talk about it with people that do not give a shit. So it's nice to be able to yabber on about something that we all love so much, and do like play different games and things outside of that. Like I've made such amazing friends who enjoy doing escape rooms and games nights and really being out there living life, which is amazing. But also for me, it was like re-falling back in love with the game of Survivor, because I really didn't love it for a period of there, and I very much so love it again. So thank you, everyone.
Sam, Mars had a question for you. Do you like hosting or playing better?
Oh, was that for me? Ooh.
Yeah.
Fun. I honestly do love them both. Like hosting is so fun. Like that's like the Survivor, like creating something so other people can experience the Survivor nerd like that I am. Like they could experience the same things as like a Survivor nerd you want to experience. Like I love that so much. That's like definitely the best part of like why I do it. But playing is so fun. Like it was so cool. I really enjoyed the whole experience. And so I think I definitely have appreciated the playing aspect so much. I've always wanted to play, so it's like to get the chance to actually do it has been really cool.
Great.
Thanks, Mars.
And Helen wants to know, it looked like so much fun. Was it hard in the game to separate the game from the friendships that you guys have made? I don't know who wants to jump in here, maybe.
I only knew Christy before the game. And then it was only sort of superficially.
But I think just like the friendships that you were making like at the time.
Yeah, during the game. It's hard because when you make the friendships, you want to keep them, but it's a game. And if you're playing Survivor with people who know the game, they know it's just part of the game and they know you can still be friends afterwards. That's if you're playing it with people who know it.
That is the joy of what we played. It's the fact that everyone is of the same mindset. We're not going to take anything to heart because we all know the game and we know we're there to play, and friendship's just a bonus of the whole day.
And even just meeting people and knowing, you might not have even really made a friendship, but you see that they're really a nice person. And I came into the game thinking, I'm going to say all these harsh things when I hold up my vote to say, here we go, 15 down, and, or 1 down, 15 to go, or whatever. And then we got to like Lizzie's vote, and we hardly spent any time with her, and that absolutely broke my heart to write Lizzie's name down. So it was really hard to navigate between that whole who's a nice person and being not nasty to people, but playing the game and getting people out versus wanting to keep them in because they seem nice and you want to get to know them more.
Yeah, and I think for me, like obviously the final 4 vote of like voting Luke out, who we'd like spend the whole day together, and we actually like really bonded and stuff. Like the game mindset at that point. I'm like, I didn't have a choice. Like, as in I couldn't win against him. I didn't feel like I could, he'd like push me to the end. And so, but then in life, like all my friends watching it afterwards, like, Sam, how could you do that? Like, he had your back. Like, he was so like, we were like Team Sam and Luke, and some of them were even like, we're Team Luke, and like, because that's the type of person he is.
It's so funny, Sam, just to quickly interrupt before I forget, but I watched it with my colleagues the other day, and it was kind of like split down the middle of, I love Sam, he's so wholesome, like he got super emotional when he voted Luke, to the other half being like, wow, like I didn't really like that Sam voted Luke out. Like, and I think it's kind of that understanding of like Survivor, where that kind of question comes into play about like, if you know Survivor, you know that at the end of the day, like you do have to do these kind of things to win. And yeah, I think you did what you had to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I was even reading along with some of the like YouTube the comments as it was like airing and stuff, and people were not impressed. Like, I'm pretty sure all of Luke's whole life was watching it on YouTube, and they were not happy with the whole thing at all. Yeah, very hard.
Voting.
What'd you say?
I wish they were the ones voting for who won.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm surrounded by so many Survivor fans who can appreciate things like that.
All right, so a couple, and yeah, if there's any more questions, feel free to chuck them in the chat or scream it out. But a couple more of the awards. Let's jump to what's a good one? I reckon this is a good one. Most entertaining confessionalist. So, in third place, Mr. John Tan. Second place, Matt, and first place, Ethan.
Yeah.
It's a shame that those two aren't here. But let's go to you, John. I think just watching you, like you had such a great reception. Everyone absolutely just loved watching you, John. So like, and I won't spoil who won the player I'd like to see play the most just yet, but I can say that you got a lot of votes there too, and I think it's because you just have this energy and it's just exciting. It was fun, like, and yeah, like at the end of the day, you were first boot, but we just milked your content because it was just so entertaining. I absolutely loved watching it. And I think just watching CK's podcast, it was like, look, yeah, it's sad for anyone to be first boot, but if it was going to be anyone that had that sort of first boot entertaining like edit, it was you, John. Yeah. Like, so I guess I don't know what to really ask you other than, love your work. And would you play again after everything? Like, I know that it hurt on the day, but have you, like you've said, you've since got over that. Would you play again?
I'm honestly not too sure at the moment. It just really depends, like, on my schedule, because, like, my life's pretty much caught up in other things at the moment. But I don't really know, like, because as I did say in CK's interview, and I did say to you personally one time, Eli, when you came to Melbourne, I think like a couple of Survivor, like real life Survivor players, I'll refuse to name a shame, but I think when they got like the way they got eliminated or the way how they felt they got the feedback, I kind of like know how they feel now and why they probably wanted to have a break from all this. But like, I think with me, like now, like, yeah, I'm okay. So, like, I've managed to, like, overcome. And then I think, like, when I talked to you guys before this said, you guys all told me that, like, no, it's not a bad thing. No one's going to give you, like, shit for it. And then, yeah, no one really did, I don't think. But, yeah, it was just, like, and then it's funny how you guys said I was very funny. And, yeah, because for me, I think I'd say, like, I had a few funny moments, but I felt a bit, like, really salty, like, I'm surprised you guys found it funny, because for me, I felt I was a bit of a psycho there, so I felt a little bit like, I don't think that's a bit necessary. So I'm surprised you guys found me entertaining, because I did feel in the end that I was a bit psycho being all salty. I can't say, yeah.
But I think that is entertaining, and you just had your emotions out there and just displayed displayed it as it was, and I think that was really fun.
Yeah,
I know you had a good time with Marcus on Extinction.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, look, it's always tough, and I think that's also a big reason. I mean, there's so many reasons why moving to like a 2-day game, but I mean, obviously that's a big one as well. Giving that first boot, as much time as possible to actually just play the game. But yeah, you've done well. I think you've been super resilient ever since to kind of come back and realize, be like, I'm over it. So that's good.
I'm over it now. It's all good. Like, I already talked to everyone. I posted it on Facebook a couple of days ago. So yeah, I managed to have like peace with it. So yeah.
Yes. So I will wrap up shortly. But I just want to go to Marcus's question. If anyone actually knows the answer to this, if we played the game again right now with everything we know from the first attempt, who would win? And I'll add to that, who would be first boot? Is Sam the first boot here? Like,
no.
Get real. Jokes probably. What are you targeting?
Personally, maybe like a pre-merger or an early merge person will win because people are going to look at them like, oh, and you didn't really get to see a lot of people's strategies. For example, like we didn't really see how good Lizzie could be. Like someone like Lizzie could really fly under the radar and sort of sneak her way in and end up at the final 3.
Merlene, because Merlene was my winner's pick, which I think I've told you too many times now. But yeah, look, I had a final 3 of Merlene, Danny, and Sam. So I actually was 1 out of 3 right, which is pretty good. But yeah, I think maybe Merlene could do that. Who knows? But I think I can tend to agree. Would Sam be first boot? Would Christy be the first boot? Maybe.
Oh, it's hard to tell, Eli. Like, because even though as you just said, it really depends. Like, who people have like good friendships more. Like, I know Sam and Luke have a close friendship, so I highly doubt they would like say, hey, let's not work together this time, let's try something else. Like, I'm pretty sure they'll work together still, but like it's hard to tell, you know what I'm saying? But like I know Leah was always trying to have a go at Christy early in the game, and maybe if we have to start again, probably it might be the other way around, but you don't know.
Yeah, so I will I'm gonna sort of kind of wrap things up with these final awards and a couple of last questions. So let's go to best pre-merger. So second place was a tie between TK and Merlene, but first place goes to Leah.
Oh wow, yay. I wasn't expecting it to be me. That's so nice.
There you go. Next one. So Social Butterfly, third place, Michelle. Second place, Christy. And first place taking it out was Sam.
Hey.
Thanks, guys.
I will post all these later in the chat and on Facebook as well. I'll put in a little template or something. Best strategist. I don't even know if I said that right. Third place, Christy. Second place, Matt. And first place, again, Sam.
Dude.
Yeah. Sweeping.
Thanks, peeps.
Now, next one, hero of the season. Third place was Michelle. I feel like Michelle's getting third place more than she wants here. Just so
She's on the ballot, though.
It's balanced.
Yeah. Third place Michelle, second place Matt, and taking out hero of the season. I feel like it's just because of that last episode, but it was Luke. So there you go. Just a couple more here. Villain of the season, cult icon of the season, player you'd most like to see play again, and Spirit of Survivor and Best Redemption. So I might do Best Redemption first. Third place. So this is obviously the player that had the best sort of comeback from the different parts of the game. So third place was Matt. Second place was Ethan. And first place was Jazz. Now, the Spirit of Survive was just a fun one I did, and a lot of people got votes for this. I think almost everyone, which was just the player that embodies the true essence of Survivor throughout Sydney Survivor Season 1. So third place was Christy, second place was Sam, and first place went to Matt.
Ah, great,
I think
Matty.
people just voted him because Matt's a nice guy, right?
No, more than just a nice guy. He was playing exceptionally well. Matt's game is so underrated. Like, he was not a target ever. Everyone wanted to work with him. There was no one not wanting to work with that guy. He was at the top and didn't realize.
Exactly. Agree. He was
Matt and I are
good.
probably considering meeting up at some time, but yeah, we just got to work out the time and place too. Yeah.
Awesome. That'll be good. He's
Yeah,
a great guy.
I'll let you guys know when he and I meet up. But yeah.
Best blindside, third place was the Tide Destinies vote to get rid of Christy and Danny. Second place, and I feel like this is robbed, but that was Leah's blindside on Amanda. Absolutely robbed. I would have had that first place. But first place taking it out was actually the blindside on Matt at final 6, which was the Jazz, Sam, and
okay.
Luke.
Just gonna speak on Matt's behalf here. He was not blindsided.
I told him.
Yeah.
He knew. He knew.
You told him, Michelle
told
told
him.
him. He knew, and you could see it in his face in tribal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence why he didn't look for the he wasn't thinking to look for the idol because he had at the voting station because he was so thrown by Michelle just telling him and confirming what Jazz had already told him. So he definitely knew.
And even Shane's blindside, like the move before on Shane was more of a blindside than that, to be fair. So villain of the season, here we go. Third place went to Mr. Shane. Second place went to Joseph, but first place went to Ethan, which is so funny. Cult icon of the season. So this was kind of what was the criteria here? So someone who left a lasting impact on the game by their unique personalities, memorable moments, truly representing the season. Ethan was a close third, but it was third place Christy, second place John, and first place Matt. So Matt
for icon.
Picked
wow.
up. Yeah.
Awesome. Go, Maddie.
You love that one.
And we've just got a couple more here. I'm not going to announce the All-Stars results, but someone did pick up, I think, 72% of the vote. It's like 72% picked them as one of the 5, which was pretty incredible. Every single person, so all 16 out of the 80 people got at least one vote saying that they would love them in an All-Star season. So that just is a massive credit to you guys for being great. And similarly, player that they'd most like to see play again, everyone also got a vote there. So there you go. Player of the season and player you'd most want to see play again in the last 2. Which one do you guys want first?
Just go for it.
All right. Player of the season. Let's do that. Third place was Ethan. Second place was Matt. And first place was Sam. So Sam, I hope that validates your victory.
That's nice. The people have voted. So
player you'd most like to see play again. Leah was close to third, but third place went to John. John's like, what?
I wasn't paying attention. What's this reward for again? Sorry, I got sidetracked.
This one is player you'd most want to see play again.
Oh, okay. I wasn't listening. Sorry.
Third place was John. Second place was a tie between Ethan and TK. And first place for this one also went to Matt. So there you go.
Wow. Yeah.
Maddie, Sweeping
shame
the
he's
He'll
floor.
be absolutely gobsmacked when he reads these.
Yeah, so looking forward to that. But yeah, I guess just one final question to wrap it up. And I want to, unless anyone else has anything else, but I want to go to Sam and say, what is your advice to someone? Like, obviously you posted, right? But to win an LRG, what does it take?
I honestly feel like it.
Like, I haven't played, right? So I'll just finish what I was gonna say. Sorry. I haven't played. Marcus hasn't played. Ian hasn't played. Mars hasn't played. Helen hasn't played. Like, to all of us that might play one time, right? What is your advice to us? How could you win?
Yeah, I think you need to know who you are and what works for you, like going into it. Like, I think I've spent a lot of time just trying to work out like what are my strengths, you know, and that's why I went really hard on the relationship thing. I know some people are so strategic and their mind just races, but like, how do you utilize that in a game where other people are going to be doing the same thing? And so I think being mindful of who you are and what you hold within yourself, your characteristics, your personality, your strengths, your weaknesses, being mindful of all of that and just harnessing it as best as you can. The thing about Survivor is the reality is most people aren't going to win, you know? And I went into the game being like, there's a really likely chance I'm not going to win this, but I'm going to give it a crack knowing what I've got and playing with people who I can help and they will help me. So that would be my advice.
That's some really great advice, I'm going to say, Sam, because so many people come in going, oh, I'm going to be so strategic. I'm going to be a physical threat. I'm going to be a this. And I'm like, well, are you that? And like, because with my casting coaching, I'm helping people, right, them sell what they're going to play like. And I'm like, that's not you though. Like, if you're not strategic, don't play that angle. Don't play that game because it's not working for you in everyday life, in your life strategy. It's not going to work in the game.
Yeah,
that's actually really good advice, Christy, because I think that like, as someone who applied this season and I did get onto the Zoom interview and I was pretty chuffed about, and I was like, the one thing I noticed is I didn't actually, like, with all my answers in the actual, like, both the interview and when I filled it out, like, I actually just for once, like, and I think I'd had that conversation with you before, so I just decided I'm just going to answer this as me and not pretend and not answer it as if I'm someone that Ender Moleshine wants to cast, right? And I think that's super important because at the end of the day, like, you know, people will hype up their personality to try and get.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with hyping it up.
Yeah.
If you're a social person, but you're not like super social, you turn it up to 100. Yeah. Like, but if you're not athletic, you don't try and be super athletic. If you're bad at challenges, then you be really, really bad at challenges. Anyway, Sam's answer was
awesome.
great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
By the OG herself. So let's all listen to Christy when she speaks.
Dan, if I may ask, because I never got to watch Brisbane Survivor Season 2, did you say the same thing to like your future applicants in the Brisbane Survivor reunion? Because I never got to watch it, so I'm just asking you, like, what you're telling us now.
Well, I couldn't really speak about it from a playing perspective because they didn't know when we had our reunion. Right. Yeah, that it was coming. It hadn't been released yet, so.
Oh, you haven't released the reunion yet?
We've released the reunion for Brisbane, yeah, but we, I think it was being announced the week after it had been released that I was going to be playing in Sydney, so I couldn't talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been able to really chat with them all about the whole season yet. So
yeah, I thought you would just like say that as advice in general, like that's just like your perspective, because like even though this is the first time you've played, but like obviously you've created one, you've managed to monitor a couple of things, so I thought like that's just your perspective in general. So I thought you would have been sharing that with future applicants for Brisbane.
Yeah. No, I would say that to anyone, I think. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt. I think some people got to go, and I think But I just want to say thank you once again. It was awesome season. Great to chat with you guys tonight. Get keen for season 2. We've got an awesome theme, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't said that you want to help out and you'd be keen to help out, feel free to message me. Always keen for that. I know that people are coming into state to help out, so that'd be awesome. Again, thank you so much. It's been awesome, and I'm glad we can finally put the end to season 1. Thank you, everyone. Again, you want to say goodbye, Ivy?
Bye.
See you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
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 Have a good one.